Welcome back to Almost Private. This is a place where we sit with the quiet, layered parts of life and the little truths we don't always say out loud. It is a place for reflection, curiosity, and the beauty we find along the way. I'm Mariah, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want to talk about unbranding yourself. Now, when I think about unbranding yourself, the first thing that comes to my mind is letting go of the standards and the holds that we have placed upon ourselves, the standards and holds that others have placed upon us. Now, this can be anything from the way that we dress, the way that we act, things we've done in the past, the way that we eat, the way we do our hair and our makeup. It could be it could be whatever it is, but just letting that go. For me, I am feeling the biggest pressure to brand myself in the space of being able to curate conversations. So my podcast, and to be able to do the same thing in my work. However, for me, the pressure, I will say, to brand myself is the strongest around being able to curate conversations and spaces for reflection and curiosity. So around my podcast and at work, especially since I am looking to expand my podcast and expand myself in my personal and professional life. And today, I want to invite a little bit of curiosity, not in the way of a sudden push or change to unbrand, but to look at what's beneath the surface of unbranding yourself from any type of holds that you can feel that's within you. Now that again is going to be very personal to you, and only you will really know what you have put on yourself, and only you will truly know what has been put on you. And so let's take a look at that. Right now, unbranding yourself feels like removing yourself from the shackles, the ones that you may have put on yourself through previous choices or negative self-talk, or the ones others may have put on you through projection. It feels like letting yourself unline from those without knowing truly what fits next. It's also about seeing yourself clearly. And this is, a scary but necessary part, to be able to see oneself clearly and to be able to do a self-inventory of what you have put on yourself and what others may have put on you. To be able to truly see that is one that's going to take some internal work. After seeing yourself clearly, sometimes you'll get another view, which is someone else, and they will have a uplifting view of you, which is very comforting, But trying to fit into that view is also pretty tricky, because it may not be what's fully your true essence, right? It may be part of it, but now you're putting on the shackles of another person's perception of you, whether it is positive or negative. Sometimes you have to sit and think about what is your own perception of you? What is something that you want for you? Not necessarily what someone else wants from you. I've done this so many times unconsciously that it makes me sick. Like, I think part of me still does this. I think a part of us always does this, but that's where the self-reflection comes from. Now, I'm not saying that it is a negative, because it is not a negative to be fitting into a positive self-image. However, when the self-image does not come from within, I think that that's where the tricky part comes, because are you doing it for them or are you doing it for yourself? I'm asking this question to you all, but I'm also asking this question to myself. Your girl is not perfect. I used to want to be perfect, but now that's kind of boring. I'm so me that perfection is like it's nice when you see perfection, but I think beauty comes in when there is a little bit of imperfection in there. Like a flower. I love flowers, but each petal is different, but they harmonize perfectly together, creating something very beautiful to look at. I started to second guess my true essence because I didn't take time to truly align with my essence. I mean, the version felt right. It was a positive outlook, but it never felt true to me, and I never felt settled. And so me personally, I will push back really hard when I don't feel like something is really aligning with me. And that pushing back hard is not necessarily something that feels good in my body, and it doesn't feel good for the other person. I know this. So when you're thinking about unbranding yourself, when I think about unbranding myself and unaligning myself with some of those standards and holes without truly finding what fits perfectly yet, I have to embrace the uncomfortable feeling of finding what's next, right? So when you don't know what's next, you're kind of just like floating in the wind. It can feel a little chaotic, but you're floating knowing that you're going to find your direction and you're going to be able to align and be able to brand yourself. We always hear be authentically yourself. But what does that actually mean when you don't even know what your authentic true essence is because of so much noise that's out there and being in the standards and the holds of your past, right? Some of us like develop at like 20 and then just kind of stay there. Or like you hear some things about yourself and then you start to take those on as something that is true and factual. Now I want to preface this because this is something that was recently just told to me. Just because you hear something that is not necessarily positive about yourself doesn't mean that it's not necessarily true. Listen, when I heard that about me, I was like, who you talking to? You can't possibly be talking about me. Are you talking about me? Like, I don't know about that. But they're like, yeah, I'm talking about you. And I'm like, well, conversation over. But I'm just kidding. Conversation was not over. And I actually sat and I listened because it was somebody who I knew had my best interest at heart and someone who loved me. So for me, these are some of the small steps that I am doing to unbrand myself from certain ideals and holds. These are two of the small steps that are helping me unalign and unbrand myself from certain standards and ideals. The first one is journaling. Now, I know we hear about it all the time, but there is something so therapeutic about keeping a journal. Now, if you don't feel comfortable actually writing something down and having it sit around because you're nervous that somebody may invade your privacy and read it, another option would be to send yourself emails. So this is something that I have done in the past where I would send myself an email, and it's kind of like writing it down, but it is really typing. So I will open up an email. I will write down or type in all of my thoughts and anything that's in my mind, and I will send it directly to myself. No one else, to myself, and then I will file it away. I still have so many emails about where I was at certain points in my life. And it's kind of an amazing thing to be able to go back and reflect to see how much you have grown when at the time growth probably felt so out of place. So that is one thing I would say. Journal, write it down. If you're not able to write it down, send yourself an email so that you can protect it and keep it filed away. You don't have to tell anyone that you're doing this. It is just for yourself. The second thing that I find that has helped me out a lot is feeling the emotions. Now, this can be a little hard, if I'm being honest, of feeling the sadness, feeling the frustration, the loneliness, feeling the anger. You know, I don't know that I feel like I have many regrets, but feeling, the weight of a poor decision and feeling the fear. All of these have allowed me to be able to identify if this standard or this hold is something that I put on myself, or if it stems from something that is external from me. If it is something that is stemmed from something that external from me, I no longer feel the need to go and confront them about it. Now, if they ask me about it, I will definitely share. But I don't feel the need to go and be like, let me tell you how you put this standard and this hold on me and expected me. Like, no, a lot of that stuff is for yourself. You can do it if you feel the need to. I ain't here to tell nobody what they can and cannot do. But for me, it's not necessary. I journal it. I write it down. I type it to myself. I do whatever I need to do to get it out. And then I find a way to unalign myself with that. I no longer identify with that. And knowing that I may not have with a new place to identify and just being able to explore. Life is about exploration. And so, at least it is to me, to be able to explore, to find something that I'm aligned with. I'll be fully transparent. I have not unaligned myself with certain holds and certain shackles just yet. I am in the process of doing this. And I do think that it's going to take me a little bit of time just to be able to feel those emotions, to be able to label them. Sometimes you feel an emotion, but you don't have a label on it. And so you're not sure how to actually move through that, right? To be able to deal with that and move through that. I am still discovering. There are some things that I have unaligned myself with that I have not fully aligned myself within a new direction. I am still discovering. And if I'm honest, I feel like that's a beautiful place for me to be because I have the ability to search and to see what fits for me and what makes sense for me and what makes sense for, right, the life that I'm curating. I have never done it before. This is my first time living. And it's going to take a little bit of discovering and time. Shedding external expectations is strange at times. It can feel hot and cold. Hot because you are shedding it, cold because you feel naked. But I believe that it is a good place to be as you are searching for a new placement in life. Unbranding takes time, but do not get stuck there. Do not make it your personality to get stuck there. Just allow yourself to continue to move energetically. Unbranding is just as eventful as a full rebrand. It's the foundation. Thank you for being here. As always, take what you need and leave the rest. I am so glad you were here, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.